Wicklow is a county full of inspiration for artists and craftspeople. Its historical remains, its landscape, wildlife and farmland all provide endless sources for ideas for the creative. The Wicklow Marketplace is an online outlet for artists and craftspeople throughout the county. Unlike most county-wide resources, the marketplace is not based on the East Coast, oddly enough. It comes from right across the mountains in West Wicklow. To be more precise, it's a Baltinglass initiative developed by local businesswoman Rachel Kane.
So what is Wicklow Marketplace?
Wicklow Marketplace is an online website for people to show and sell their crafts. We have semi-professional and professional artists and crafters, so it can be from oil paintings to local genealogy authors have books on there. We have handmade candles, leather shoes. There's like such a wide variety, of gifts on there.
And they're all craftspeople from Wicklow.
They're all craftspeople from Wicklow.
How did you develop your love of art?
It's hard to tell, really. I was always visiting galleries when I was living in London, and I was really interested in the National Gallery particularly. But I know as a child I would have painted and drawn. I didn't begin to paint myself until after we came home. And when my children started school, I went to art classes. So it's developed from then. So you're looking at the guts of 50 years.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember you were doing photography. Are you still doing photography, but more so a few years ago? Was that connected with your painting?
Partly. I've always enjoyed photography and had a camera from when I was very young, and it's come in very handy for landscapes particularly because you can't always paint plein air. Whereas if you can get a landscape set up, you can go back from a photograph, you can go back to the place very often and get details that wouldn't be covered in a photograph. So I suppose the two go together. But I did photography classes as a means of getting a bit better with the camera.
I see. Yeah. So I can understand your interest in, the likes of Baltinglass Abbey, but your landscapes as well. You're very much into landscapes.
Yeah. Kind of being reared in the country, landscapes were all around me, as it were, and I've always loved them, and I've loved gardening, and I would have helped my father sort of gardening and staying in my grandaunt's out on a farm. It's kind of part of me, really. So I just love all the different landscapes there are and what I can make of them. Yeah.
And how did you come to be in the Wicklow Marketplace?
I was approached to know if I would be interested in joining the group, and I thought it was a wonderful idea because there wasn't a group for West Wicklow that was online where we could show paintings and crafts, because it's there are a lot of different artists and craftspeople on Wicklow Marketplace, and to be able to have them uploaded with prices and everything there, and for somebody to look at them, to buy them, and I've just got to post them. A marvelous idea. Yeah.
So it's been a boon for you.
It has indeed. Yeah.
That's good. Will we go and have a look at some of your paintings?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Maura, this is part of your woodland series.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
A whole series which I did about 3-4 years ago. I really enjoyed doing. I love doing the texture of the logs and the woodland around it.
And well, we're here at the Abbey, and this is very familiar.
yes, this is a scene through the entrance gate there. And I've been fascinated with that. And just looking at sort of the whole architecture of the Abbey, and you know how it's kind of eroded over the centuries, and yet there's so much of it there. And I know that that Abbey was the mother house of Point in Kilkenny, and I'm from Kilkenny, so I'd be very familiar with that as well. And just fascinating what the people who built it were able to do, and how it stood the test of time. And you know, modern houses just don't very often.
Honestly,
you know,
yeah.
that's 1,000 years old, and an awful lot of it is still standing.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed painting that.
Because
it was quite a challenge.
It's not this particular view, but I mean the Abbey itself is a very it's a favourite scene for photographers and artists. Yeah.
Yes.
You see it all the time on Facebook. You have people taking photographs of Baltinglass, and it's always the Abbey.
Yes.
We were talking about the
pillars.
The pillars,
yes,
square and
I just
circular.
Found, I just found as I was painting it that not all the pillars are round. You have a square part there, and then the next one is round, and the next one is square. And I've really sort of, why did they do that? You know, did they get fed up?
Maura, every time I see this, I think it's the Japanese gardens, but it's actually Rusper, isn't that right?
That's right, yes, but it's a very similar bridge. They must have been trying to recreate part of the Japanese thing with that ladies' island in Rusper.
All right.
Yeah. And children have always loved walking over with the little bit of a pond around it.
All right.
And I love that bridge. I used to go to Kildare, to the Japanese gardens quite a bit. And it's just fascinating.
Yeah.
I was lucky to be able to do that in the spring when all the rhododendrons were out. And there's a fabulous amount of colour available to use. So
you said it was more work intensive than anything else.
Yes, I did it with the palette knife rather than brushes. And the palette knife gives a much looser effect. And I thought it was suitable for that with so many leaves and just little dashes of colour for the bridge itself. Whereas the Abbey one, because of the architecture, you have to use small brushes.
Oh, yes.
Because there's a lot of detail needed, but you can suggest detail there with that. And then this one of Baltinglass Abbey again was done with brushes. Again, there's a fair amount of detail, and it's a scene I have watched going to work for 30 years as I was heading down to Carlow. So it was very familiar to me, and I was delighted to have time to paint it. And then I painted that now 9 years ago. And I've always wanted to go back and paint, just looking in here and paint the inside. So I finally managed it. So that was it.
Yeah.
With my business, Life Hack, I'd been working in West Wicklow for about 4 years in design research. And I've been working with small and medium businesses, so with design research. And during that time, some of the businesses I worked with were arts and crafts. And then during the pandemic, it kind of came about that people couldn't sell their work, or they had no way of reaching customers because everything was closed down. So it just seemed like a natural kind of progression that we would start up this website to help people, sell their crafts online and reach customers that they don't normally reach.
Very good. So Karen, you're from the Crafty Crack in Glen of Amal.
I am. We're based in the village of Knockanarrigan in the centre of the Glen of Amal.
Yeah.
And we're a craft shop.
Yeah.
We've been open, this is our third summer now in existence, and we opened probably because of my involvement with Rachel and what Rachel was doing with her previous company, Life Hack. She became my mentor for my website. And through discussions with Rachel, we saw a need to have a collective of some sort of craftspeople within the West Wicklow community. So we devised a plan between the two of us, and we wanted it to be of a very high standard. So anybody who is exhibiting in the space has to be either registered with the Craft Council or the Enterprise Board. They have to be full-time at what they're doing, and like us all, trying to make a living at craft and art.
Okay, so tell me a bit about yourself actually. Where are you from originally?
Well, originally I'm a Dub who went to Blessington, and from Blessington ended up as the postmistress in Knockanarrigan.
Oh,
yes,
really?
for a few years, and we had the shop up there, and I always had an interest in candle making. So I took myself off to Wales and I learnt my trade from David Constable, who is the famous candle maker for all the candles in the Harry Potter films, Game of Thrones, Young Victoria, a lot of BBC dramas. So I learned from him and came back and started my career as a candle maker.
So you've been doing candle making ever since then?
Ever since Rossborough and after my time with David Constable in Wales. And then I opened Crafty Crack. As I say, we're in our 4th summer now.
Oh,
and we're very happy with the amount of people we have in. And it's really developing. And we've also this year opened a separate workshop where we can hold classes. I can hold candle making classes, and we can also have craftspeople in showing their classes to people and training people. So we have a wide variety from leather shoemaking.
Oh, lovely.
Which is a fabulous one, to basketry, and we're developing that all the time.
Yeah, so you would encourage like anybody who's crafting in the area to maybe make use of that facility then?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We as I say, there is a criteria, but we find that West Wicklow can be a little bit forgotten. Because we're not the centre of Wicklow, of the hub of Wicklow. So if we can encourage people from this side of the county and Carlow and Kildare to gather together, it's a wonderful space for people to be able to show their wares and to communicate with other crafters and artists.
Okay, so on top of actually having that lovely place, Crafty Crack up in Glen of Amal, you also are on the West Wicklow Marketplace. Created by Rachel Kane.
Yes, that is it's an inspiration, and Rachel herself is an inspiration. She started that off again from seeing what she felt was a gap in the market, and she developed it, and it's just a fabulous selling place, and she is so good with everybody. She's so encouraging, she's so helpful. She brings everything down to a 1, 2, 3 situation, and we just can't go wrong with her.
Oh, right. Well, that's some glorious praise there. So
well
you would
deserved.
be saying anybody who is a crafter within Wicklow, but particularly obviously because we're in Baltinglass and environs, anyone who is crafting at all to inquire about getting onto the website.
Absolutely. Wicklow Marketplace, it's a fabulous website. It's so easy to use. It's so colourful. It's so well navigated that anybody can use it, and the more people that are involved in it, the bigger the community we're building, which is what we're all about, really.
Right. And how is it going for you?
Oh, really well.
Yeah. Are
really
you selling
well.
candles?
I'm selling candles, and I'm also have my workshops are going really, really well.
Good.
And Rachel is very good at developing that and helping everybody to develop what they have. And all the time there are changes.
Yes.
So that, and not change for change's sake, but change in a development.
Okay, so it's been improved all the time.
All the time. She never stops working.
Okay, so you recommend it? Highly recommend.
Highly recommend it.
People to come onto that.
It's such a bonus to the area to have the likes of Rachel, who has a background in communications and in design.
Yeah.
And we'd be lost without her.
Okay, great.
Really
well, yeah, it is a great facility to have, and that's one of the reasons why we want to let more people know about it through this video. So thank you very much for being one of the stall holders to represent your place on Wicklow Marketplace. Thank you very much, Karen.
And thank you for talking to me, Orla.
Okay.
It was lovely.
We started off with about 3 stall holders in January 2021, And then that slowly grew to 35, and we're still growing, onboarding people,
Very
and
good. Yeah.
it's really great.
And you actually have started now on the back of this Dublin Marketplace, is that right?
Yeah, there was a lot of interest in Wicklow Marketplace and what we were doing and how we were doing it. People seemed to really like that. So
Yeah.
rather than taking people on board Wicklow Marketplace, we wanted to keep that for Wicklow. We started one in Dublin, so we started Dublin Marketplace.
Very good.
And that's slowly growing also.
Great. And I believe you've also started a Kildare Marketplace, is that right?
Just 2 weeks ago we just
Yeah.
launched, so that's at the very beginning stage.
Yeah. And I've been on the website, and it's very slick, it's very professional looking, it seems
Thanks
to
very
be
much.
very intuitive, easy to use. Who is doing all of this wonderful digital work to be able to facilitate the purchase of these products?
Well, I've worked with a developer called Robin Free for a very long time. We've worked on a lot of different projects together. So different designs I come up with, or customer experience, or research that feeds into something new or something needed. I usually bring that to Rob and say, hey, what do you think? Can we do something with this? And we develop something around that, you know. So in this case, it was the marketplace.
Well, I'm here again in Baltinglass Abbey, and this time I'm talking to Rosella Doherty, who's also a Wicklow Marketplace stallholder. Well, Rosella, you have brought some of your jewellery with you.
I did, Paul. I brought a few pieces, and I have to say it displays lovely in here, and I'll be coming back to take more photos in the future, I think.
Very good. And you're wearing a piece as well?
And I'm wearing a piece, yeah.
Very good. I first met you when you were in the country market, which was just up Church Lane from here. It was on Saturdays.
It was on Saturday mornings, yeah.
Yeah, it was a great place for gathering, meeting people and whatnot.
I have to say, I wouldn't know as many people only for the country market. It was a great way to meet people, and I joined the country market, I think, in 2012. I arrived in with my box of wares to show the chairperson and the committee at the time, and they decided that they liked the look of it and they let me join them. So
Great.
I was there for a good few years.
Yeah, it's a pity it's gone now, but
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, ran its course, I suppose. Yeah.
So I started making the jewellery seriously in 2011. Would have always been kind of a maker, if you like, of things, shall we say. As a teenager, I grew up on the coast, so you'd pick shells and make and sell shell necklaces, those kind of things.
Right. Yeah, but you started seriously. With the.
Yeah. Well, Paul, there's only so much you can keep and so much you can give away.
So, you started. Was that the first place you started selling? Was in the country market?
Yeah, that was the first place I started selling,
Yeah.
was in the country market,
Mhm.
and then the odd craft fair around as the years went on. And then I joined the Wicklow Marketplace in 2021.
Yeah, and that's a very good outlet for you now,
It's
is
a
it?
really good outlet, because the cost of a website for small businesses like this is really expensive, and all the technology that goes behind it. So the Wicklow Marketplace makes it really affordable to sell your products online, and it gives you exposure to a huge audience.
That's great. You have been living in Grangecon since, I think you told me, 2004?
Yeah, 2004 we moved to Grangecon.
18 years.
18 years.
But your business was born in West Wicklow then, wasn't it?
The business was born in West Wicklow.
That's nice.
It
Nice
was
to
born
hear.
and reared in West Wicklow.
Nice to hear. Now, the type of material you use beads and stones and crystals? Is that
Yeah,
right?
I'm very fussy with my beads and stones and crystals. Being a woman, I have expensive taste, Paul. I like to use good quality beads, and when I make something, I like to make it to last for people, that they have it a long time, not the quick throwaway kind of culture that goes with some things. So I would use Austrian and Czech crystal. Then we have the Austrian crystal pearl. So their pearls are crystal on the inside, and they have like a super duper coating on them that they don't tarnish and wear. The Austrian crystal won't be available anymore when the supply runs out, but the Czech crystal is equally as good. And then I would use like some Italian glass beads and things that just look nice and that will have a good bit of last in them. In the vein of there's something for everyone on my jewellery stand and in my stall holder section in the Wicklow Marketplace, I have a selection of brooches. Brooches have really come back into fashion, I think might be the best word for them, over the last few years. In the winter, people wear them on their coats or their scarves, and then at other times of the year, you'll see them on handbags, which is really nice. We have these little, again, hand-beaded earrings, little triangles with Austrian crystal, needle and thread. So they take an hour each to make. Then we have some little bookmarks, just for fun items, for readers. So we have little licorice all sorts. So the silver part goes inside your book and the licorice all sorts hang out over the spine of your book. Again, something just a little fun. And again, this is one of the necklaces where there'll only ever be one. It takes ages and needle and thread. So you make the base and then you make the flowers. So it just takes a long time for it.
If someone wants to join, they can have a look at the website. We have a page called Become a Stallholder, and that's on wicklowmarketplace.ie. If they have a look at that page and they read through it and see that they want to be there or they like what they read, they can register on the website. After they register, I will go back to them with a couple of documents and ask them if they are registered with the company registrations office or if they're a practicing artist. And there's a few criteria to meet, and then I just activate the stall.
Yeah, okay, so there is a criteria. It's not necessarily if you're doing a little bit of quilting in your bedroom in the evening time. You do have to be actually a registered craftsperson.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Very good.
The marketplace provides the opportunity for Wicklow natives living elsewhere, in fact anywhere, and local people to support local artists, candle makers, card makers, designers, jewellers, potters, quilters, rug makers, sculptors, shoemakers, soap makers, weavers, wood carvers, and even writers.